hate this job. I hate this job.
I don't even have to come into the office. I can do this job from home.
I need this place like I need a shotgun blast to the face.
Fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you, I'm out.
Who's coming with me?
Hey everybody, welcome back to My Stupid Job podcast. My guest today is Eric Simon from The Broke Agent. Eric, thanks for being here.
Of course.
Yeah. You and I met on Instagram. You have a really cool account called the Broke Agent, and we kind of hit it off because our accounts are very similar. My account, I decided to do all work-related humor and jokes about the workplace and jobs and all that stuff. And you took it even one step further, and you were like, "I'd like to make a page about one specific job," and that job is
real estate. Yeah, it's easy. I steal all your memes and then add an open house at the end of it. It's perfect.
Yeah, I have seen times that you've done.
I
that,
credit you,
and I always laugh. I'm like. It's so making memes is so stupid anyways. Just the idea of that and having to feel like someone stole your content and be like, that's my picture, but it's not even your picture. You don't own it. So
I do credit you even when I just use the picture. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I think there's a word in the meme community that's called remixing. You remix the meme, or if I'll do that too, because if someone posts a picture of, I don't know, Channing Tatum being like, ugh, and then I don't like the words that they wrote, I'll message the account and be like, hey, do you mind if I remix this one? And it'll be like, when your boss farts in a staff meeting or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
That's super ethical of you to do that.
That's the quality of content you can expect on both of our pages.
Now there's real estate meme pages stealing from me.
Really?
Yeah. There's a new up-and-coming real estate meme account that's threatening me.
There's so many now. And this is the worst time to start an Instagram account if you're listening to this thinking, those two morons could do it, I could do it. It continuously gets harder. Like, if I would have started... I started 4 years ago. I think if I would have started 2 years before that, at the time that people like Fuck Jerry and the Fat Jewish and those guys were getting really successful, I would have 7 million followers, just because we were getting in at a different time.
We wouldn't be doing this podcast.
We might not be. We might be selling our wine company to Anheuser-Busch. Budweiser.
Isn't that the Fat Jewish?
He had a rosé, I think, called White Girl Rosé. Maybe something else.
Yeah, that was it.
I feel like that's right. And then he's just sold the whole thing. I don't want to deal with this anymore to one of the majors. I want to say it's Anheuser-Busch, but. Either way, that's awesome.
It is awesome.
And he started out as a guy who was just posting not even his own, but just funny content on Instagram.
Remember when that scandal came out?
Yeah, I don't know the full details of it.
It was like a variety.
He was about to get a variety show on Comedy Central or something somewhere. And everyone was like, this is bullshit. That guy he himself is not even funny. He doesn't steal the...
He just dresses funny. People that dress funny usually aren't funny. These chairs are little...
Oh, thanks. Your guest 2 of 2 to comment on. I got him for this podcast. I was like, I just need two matching chairs.
You got the most uncomfortable chairs known to mankind for the podcast.
Are they that uncomfortable?
I don't know.
I mean,
I just feel a little claustrophobic, but I am big.
You are 7 feet 2?
Yeah,
7 feet 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like that. You're I can see the monitor there. You're definitely way too tall.
Yeah.
So I would even say it's not the fault of the chairs, but maybe just your overall genetics.
Possibly. I'm actually more legs than I am torso. So when I sit down in chairs, I don't appear as tall as I normally do.
Oh yeah. So that's the opposite of being top tall. What's that called?
Just leg tall.
Just leg tall.
Yeah. I don't know.
This is this great, all great.
Yeah, this is good.
All right, so we're gonna get into the work stuff because that's why everybody's here. What was your first job? Do you remember that?
My first paid job was the Laugh Factory.
Ever?
Right
out of college?
Right out of college.
You didn't have a job before college?
My parents were well off growing up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I always wondered what that was like.
I had a couple internships, but I went to USC. I worked at the Rose Bowl in their marketing department.
Okay.
I feel like an asshole saying that about my parents. That was a joke.
You don't have to clarify.
Okay.
Everybody in the comedy community knows the best jokes are ones that end with people saying, just kidding.
Right, exactly.
It's
especially 2 minutes after the fact.
If you say something, it's pretty much assumed that it's a joke.
Okay.
But your parents are rich. We were talking about that.
Right. That's why I'm in real estate in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a meme page.
Right, because you have all this extra time
Yeah, exactly.
to do that. So you were working. What you went to USC or UCLA?
USC.
USC. What you? Oh, that's and your parents were rich, and that's how you got in.
Right,
That's-
exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All this is
Not on
starting
my
to ma-
merits whatsoever.
starting to make so much sense now. What did you major in?
Communications. So essentially nothing. Took some journalism classes, but then I also minored in entrepreneurship. So
Okay,
I
so
needed
real
8
estate
units for that.
agenting. You had
Exactly.
a minor in real estate agenting.
Yes. No desire to get into real estate after college.
Okay, so you're like what 22 at the time, and you have a degree,
I do.
and you're like, I know what I'm going to use this for. I'm going to go work at a comedy club.
Yes, in the marketing department.
Okay, so it was related to your degree in a bit. So what you did, you like did on their social media and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I helped with sick shows, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Maybe.
When nobody comes to shows.
Yeah.
So the Laugh
Those are
Factory.
the only kind of shows I do.
Yeah, that's why I figured you'd be familiar.
that no one's there for.
No, when the Laugh Factory would have sick nights, or their Tuesday or Wednesday, I would help try to get more people to come to those shows, whether it was like a contest on Facebook or something called like a Keeping It Kosher comedy event, where I would get a Jewish organization or a synagogue or something to sponsor it. I did that once.
Okay. And how long did you work there for?
A year,
Okay.
6-month internship, and then 6 months afterwards.
So you actually did get paid.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
$15 an hour.
That's kind of uncommon for A, fresh out of college, B, comedy clubs, and then like also I mean I do social media. I say that I do social media, and I get online to look for social media freelance gigs a lot, and it's not a thing that people want to pay for most of the time.
Right.
Like, are you good with Instagram? Come be our social media person. And I'm like, well, what is it? What do you want me to do? What do you need me to do? And they're like, all of it, all of the social,
just
all
scheduled posts.
And I'm like, cool, what's it pay? And they're like, nothing. This is fun. You're playing on Instagram,
Yeah.
right? It's a game.
You're getting your foot in the door.
This is a game to adults, but for you kids.
Yeah, you're so savvy at it.
And I'm not. Anyways, so those don't go very long. But I mean, that would be kind of a cool job to be. And there are people who do that for decent money. I mean, I don't know.
Who runs social
just
media
run
accounts?
social media accounts for
I do
huge
that
companies.
also. Not for a huge company, but for a real estate tech startup.
Were you able to broker that deal because of the broke agent?
Yes.
You were already like,
so
hey,
I do brand deals with them, and then I also run their Instagram.
You want to shout them out or no? Okay.
Because I do brand deals for them also.
That's so a lot of, if we're telling stories about companies, and a lot of times if you were going to say, you didn't have to say that you worked at the Laugh Factory, you could just say I worked at a comedy club. If you're about to say something shitty about them, you can just say I worked fast food instead of being like Burger King is the worst fast food place to work for ever. I did try their Impossible Whopper yesterday though.
What is that? The meatless burger?
Meatless burger, yeah.
How was it?
I hate it. I think in terms of the quality of like a Burger King style burger, you can't taste the difference. If it was like,
how often do you go to Burger King?
Not often, but there is one right down the street.
How many times have you been to Burger King in the last 3 years?
Twice.
Okay.
Here's right next to my house on Sunset. There's and this is the order that you would pass them if you were leaving my house. There's an In-N-Out Burger.
House.
Everybody says that. It's an apartment. It's we're sitting in it right now.
I'm a real estate agent, so I had to clarify.
Yeah, no, I know. It could be a this would also be someone will call this a
it's someone's condo.
It's someone else's condo. So it goes In-N-Out, then Wendy's, then Burger King. Those are, and so it
gets worse and worse.
It does get worse and worse, but also the lines get shorter and shorter. If you go to In-N-Out and like you leave the house wanting In-N-Out, and also it's first. So you're like, I'm gonna go there, but then the line is all the way around the block twice. So I'm like, I can't do that. I'm eating fast food, so I've already got stooped so low to this decision that it needs to happen fast. And so the next one's Wendy's, and they're I usually get in at Wendy's,
right.
But if for whatever reason Wendy's A game is being brought that evening, then it'll go to Burger King.
Yeah, but then what triggered you to get the Impossible Burger? It seems like if you're getting fast food, that would be the exact opposite of something I would want.
But that's make smart decisions. It's like the little ones along the way. Like if I'm getting a shitty burger, why don't I get the best for me shitty burger? It cancels each other out. I think it's an oxymoron of a sandwich.
Right.
Highly recommend.
They should call it the oxymoron sandwich.
It basically is.
Yeah.
It basically is that. And then have you ever worked fast food at all?
No.
Yeah, your parents were rich. Why
Yeah.
would you? I never worked.
It was the worst way to ever start out a podcast by saying something like that.
What? Did you ever work?
No,
Your parents are rich?
yeah, that was the dumbest thing to say. Not true, but just a ridiculous thing to say.
How many yachts do your parents own? Two?
Yeah.
One for each of them?
Yeah.
If they're ever in a fight, and they're just like, you get on your yacht.
One on the East Coast, one on the Atlantic and Pacific.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you're from, what did you say, Arizona?
Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona originally. That's if you want to
Lap
own a
of
yacht,
luxury.
if you have a yacht in Tucson, you are doing it right. my
Right in the
friend.
Sonoran Desert.
Yeah.
You ever been there?
Tucson?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, I think I drove when I'm from Kentucky originally, and I think when I drove, I'm pretty sure you drive through Arizona on the way out here, but I don't. Flagstaff. I stopped in Flagstaff.
Yeah.
But
It's like northern Arizona.
Yeah, but I haven't been to Tucson. Nope. Did the Grand Canyon thing.
Okay. I've never been there.
Really?
Yeah.
Google it.
Okay. Yeah, I figured that's all I had to do.
Yeah, it's almost, there are a lot of things that are kind of cool to see in person. That might be not one of them because it looks fake. It's so big and so you can't see it all, and even like you can't see it in a picture. So going there to take the pictures is worthless. Someone with a way better camera has probably figured out how to do a big pano of it,
Right.
and they've put that online, and that should take care of it to satisfy your curiosity.
Just Google it.
Yeah, I did this tweet not that long ago, and I just said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but someone online has already taken a way better picture of the thing that you're trying to take a picture of, and that's for everything. Like if you're at the Louvre and you're trying to get a picture of the Mona Lisa, like it's not going to be better than someone else's. Like just enjoy it with your eyes in this moment. You don't need that picture of it, but then go back and just like if you want to see it again.
How did that tweet perform?
It was one of my better ones. I was in Austin at the time. Have you ever been to Austin?
Yeah.
Austin has this bridge that every single night all of these bats fly out of it.
That was the first thing I heard when I went to Austin. We got dinner at a place like right next to that bridge off the water.
Yeah, and so we were there for 3 days, and the first day we went to try to do that because everyone says, "Oh, you got to see the bats." So we're like, "Well, let's get that out of the way. Day one, let's knock that out. We're already kind of over here." So, went to see the bats. They never flew out because it started raining. So they're like, "This is where we're staying tonight. We can't fly in the rain. It'll make our wings too heavy or whatever." This is the bats talking.
Right.
And then so we didn't get to see them that night. And then we went the second night, and something else happened. And we missed it. They didn't come out early enough, so it got too dark, so you couldn't see them because a black bat flying against a black sky is not a cool. You just couldn't get a picture. And then the third night we went, and I actually even was like, no, we're not going back a third time. Like, we've already tried to do this twice. You're waiting there for hours and hours and hours, and we could be drinking instead. Right. And so I was like, what if we just Googled it? And there's a ton of Instagram videos of it. There's a ton of YouTube videos of it. And I saw it on YouTube, and I was like, good enough.
Yeah.
I know where the bridge is. I've stood here, and then I've seen it, and that's all I need. All right, so back to you.
Okay.
We're finishing up our 1 year Laugh Factory internship marketing job experience.
It was an entry-level job after the internship.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so now you got something on your resume post-college that's not just a degree, and then like my parents are rich, asterisks at the bottom.
Right.
What do you do? What do you do next?
I quit the Laugh Factory, and I started making Vines.
Okay.
It was not successful.
That's weird. I thought everybody who made Vines was successful. They're all millionaires now.
Well, I know. Well, I wasn't making Vines for a career. That was just what I was doing in between jobs.
I don't think anybody that got their career just propelled into the nth degree said that they were making Vines as a career. They just
once they started getting like 1 million followers, they probably started saying, "Hey, maybe. I got an existence on the internet here."
This could be not true, but I think Chris D'Elia was the first person to reach 1 million followers on Vine. And he took to it pretty early and got. He's a funny guy, but also he's like the one non-little kid version of that that you saw that was like guys be like, girls be like, and 70 million loops or whatever they were called.
Yeah, he's good on every platform.
Yeah.
Do you know him? You're a comedian.
Have
you met him?
I have met him, but I don't. He doesn't know my name. I'm the guy who was like, great set, and fist bumps him in the hallway, and he's like, thanks.
Right.
You look like every other person that I've ever seen at Starbucks.
Right.
But yeah, great. And so I feel that's one of my regrets too, in terms of being a person who makes quasi a living off of social media is that I didn't capitalize the Vine time.
Well, now is the new Vine with TikTok. It's ripe for the taking.
I don't know if it is.
It is, man. It's a bunch of 16-year-olds right now lip syncing. Very attractive 16-year-olds. Not that I think they're attractive, but they're objectively attractive.
Definitely
clear
that up.
I'm telling you that I told you out there the second TikTok I made, 60,000 views. I'm viral.
That's viral.
You're talking to a TikTok star. I am a viral real estate TikTok
add that
star.
to
my byline.
Broke agent and viral
Rich parents TikTok star.
TikTok star. No, I don't know if it's gonna. I mean, it can only go up from here with TikTok. Vine. I don't know why it. Do you know why it failed? I have an idea.
It was oversaturated with like horse shit eventually, right?
Well,
I don't know if that's an answer for anything, but it felt like the feed was just the same thing over and over again. Like a meeting of almost like the 5 families, but it wasn't the 5 families. It was like maybe like the 12 top Vine stars, people like King Batch and all those. Brittany Furlan.
I don't know. He's the only one that I know, so I'm not going to try to even say all the rest. I know she was.
I was going to go all 11 others.
And I don't even know if he was a part of it. I just know that he was one of the top ones. But I think all these guys were not getting. They were keeping Vine alive essentially,
right?
And they weren't getting compensated for it. So they were like, "Guess what? We'll just stop putting our content on Vine because Instagram has video."
Yeah.
Because
that's what killed it. Obviously,
there was a time when it didn't, and while Vine was happening, Instagram didn't have video yet. So then they were like, "Well, I can just be just as successful over here. All of my followers have already followed me to this platform anyways, so bye."
And you can do a minute-long videos as opposed to 6-second videos.
Yeah, and then even that they were like, now we can do long form on YouTube and then just have like micro content on live on Instagram or like have like a link in our bio back to it. This is such what social media people talk about all day long.
I know we sound like huge douchebags.
Yeah, but also hire us if you want.
I know. Hire me to do TikToks for the Laugh Factory. I'll come back.
I'll make you go viral. I'll do would you use like a competition to get people in the crowd?
Keeping it kosher comedy event.
Yeah, come to.
Do you know who Jeremy Hotz is? Comedian.
I feel like I know the name. Anyways,
he's a comedian. And I did it with an Orthodox temple, Chabad of Bel Air. Are you Jewish?
Mm-mm.
You should be.
That
would help.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm Jewish.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I don't know what it'd help with. I shouldn't be. You're right. I shouldn't be.
You're too tall. I think that there is a height requirement on Judaism.
It stops at like 5'10", I think, 5'11".
Yeah. So
at this event, Keeping It Kosher Comedy was Chabad of Bel Air. So there was a rabbi that was emceeing it, Rabbi Mentz. He's a funny guy. And so I got a bunch of Jewish comics, and then Jeremy Hotz was the last one. And it was a very clean event because it's an Orthodox synagogue. And he starts talking about sex, and the crowd started booing, and it was the most awkward thing ever. And the rabbi came up in the middle of his set, and Jeremy Hotz said something like, "This is why people hate us. This is why people hate us," like inferring that Jews complaining or something like that was why. I don't know what it was. It was extremely awkward, and he was the last comic of the night. So the event was successful.
In terms of disasters at the Laugh Factory, how awkward is that one when stacked up to the Kramer night?
Oh, nowhere near that. This is probably a 3 on the scale.
That was a 3. That was a, I don't know, a scale of 1 to 10. That was a 7 million probably.
Yeah.
I looked that up the other day because that happened the year that I moved to LA. I hadn't moved out here yet, but it was that same year, a couple months before I got here, and I was just in there like the other night, and I was looking at the stage, and I was just thinking about like when the first time I saw that video in college.
Yeah. When
YouTube had just gotten popular. It's like 06.
Chappelle does a bit of that wherever he goes up to the Laugh Factory and he sees the insignia. He's like, I just think of Kramer every single time.
Yeah. That's kind of it jumped in my head the same way, and so I went home and I looked it up on YouTube just to see if it was still as bad as I remember it, and it might even be worse.
Well, now it's even worse.
Yeah,
now it's cringe.
There are some things that don't age well just in general in terms of jokes and the things that you're allowed to say, but
screaming the N-word over and over again doesn't age well.
It didn't age. It didn't.
Surprising.
Not only did it age well, it's horrible to watch in this current climate. It's the worst thing. It might even be the worst thing I've ever seen.
I know. It is the worst thing on the internet, I think.
Maybe.
He's kind of rehabilitated.
I don't know. Have you ever seen Logan Paul?
True. Just lost a fight too. We're not going to talk YouTubers now, are we?
Well, he started out as a Viner.
Yeah, that's true. He did.
Yeah, he did. He did lose a fight. I was on Instagram enough to know that. I didn't watch the fight. I don't know who that guy is that he fought. This is like the second time that they've had a.
Yeah, KSI. He's a British YouTuber, gamer.
Yeah, and so is that his name?
KSI. I don't think that's his birth name, but that's his internet name.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, would I trade lives with him? Maybe. He's like a gajillionaire.
Yeah, absolutely,
and, I would. He's so easy to hate on, but at the same time, you're like also jealous.
Yeah,
I don't even care.
Would you trade lives with me?
Yeah, just to be 7 foot tall
for
a day. I just like to know what that's like.
Right.
And I'm a good height in LA. Like in Kentucky, most people were taller than me.
What are you, 6 feet?
Yeah. What? Yeah, I am 6 feet.
Right. Exactly.
No, I'm 5'9".
Okay.
And that's like I don't feel like there's too many people out here that are just like towering over me. I arrived at this city and I was like, oh, I fit here. I fit. This is all of us moved here. All the 5'9"ers. We all showed up.
Right.
It was fine. And then also the weather with the not having. I had really bad allergies in Kentucky because the season changes. And then I got here and we didn't have any. Then I was like, I think I should have been born here. This was the spot. So, probably different as well from Tucson.
Yeah.
But so you quit the Laugh Factory.
Yeah.
Did you do it in a cool way, or was it really? Did you type up?
It was a mutiny, actually. My boss also wanted to quit, so we quit the same day. So do you know who Jamie Masada is?
I do.
Yeah. So he basically didn't give the marketing department a lot of money to make up for these 6 shows. So we wanted to promote stuff on Facebook. We wanted to use like money to actually advertise some of these shows, and with no budget, it made it very difficult. So I quit. My boss quit the same day.
Okay, and then you, but it wasn't.
It wasn't cool.
There wasn't like a funny story with quitting. You didn't.
No.
You were there one day, and the next day you weren't there.
Yeah, that was it.
I've quit a job like that before. Just stop showing up.
Well, I quit, and then one of the office managers emailed me and said, like, aren't you going to put in your 2 weeks? Like, you still have 2 weeks to either train the next person or like keep doing the social media. And she sent that like 2 days after I quit. And then I said, at this point, I think it'd be pretty awkward if I came back. So I just never did. And that was my last communication with them.
Bold move.
I didn't know how to quit anything. That was the first job I ever quit. That was my first job, essentially. Yeah. So it's like, I didn't know what to do.
Well,
I was done. Why would I go back 2 weeks?
How many? So you did Vines for a little bit, and then real estate, or would?
Yeah, and then
so you've only had 2 official jobs your entire life?
No, I told you I had internships, and I worked for the USC basketball team. I did a camp.
Those are good because those just end.
I raked leaves in my dad's backyard.
For $1,000 an hour.
This is such a false narrative.
So, you don't have to quit internships. You just do them usually until they end,
right?
Or it turns into a full-time position.
And none of my internships turned into full-time positions
because you weren't good enough at them.
I wasn't good at them.
Yeah, okay. And they were like, "Oh man, it's been 3 months.
It's time for you to go.
This is where you stop." Like, so I noticed you hired 2 of the other guys.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
That's
good.
actually how I felt at the Rose Bowl. I was in their marketing department, and they did hire 2 of the other interns, and it was insulting to me.
In your head, did you feel like they were better than you, or you?
Yes,
were
they were better at that job than I was. I wasn't.
Well,
I'm not great in sales positions, which is difficult being in a sales position.
Better of the 2 scenarios is if people who got hired on and they were worse than you at the job, but it was like you could feel there was something like political about it,
right?
Or
they hated Jews or something.
Yeah. That's usually
what it is. Always actually
that's usually
when I fail.
What it isn't out here.
That's true.
I when I moved out here, the dream job to have to like break into entertainment was to work in the mailroom of a talent agency,
right?
And very Jewish. That's a very Jewish thing. There's a book that they ask everybody to read called The Mailroom, and they said that
Jew.
It's like a culmination of a bunch of people's experiences over the 20 different agency or the 20 different years that book was I don't know, and they could talk about different agencies and their experiences with it, but sometimes they cited not being Jewish as a weakness and inability to get employed at any of those places.
That makes
sense.
So
one guy in there. What do you call non-Jews?
Goyams?
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of.
Goys.
Goys. this one guy said that the one goy said that he got a job at an agency because he wasn't Jewish, because everyone wasn't going to be working through the holidays, and he was like, if you're going to be here and not celebrating Christmas, you can have the job, but you got to work this whole week. And he's like, hell yeah. Don't remember who it was, but that hasn't really been like a thing that like such a bad experience that I'm like, I didn't get any of the jobs I wanted out here because I wasn't Jewish.
Right.
But I have heard people gripe to the nth degree about that. But that's why you've had everything that you've ever wanted.
Because I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly
what you're
why.
saying?
Yeah, that's why I became, after the Laugh Factory.
That's how you got into USC.
Yeah, exactly. I worked as the receptionist at a brokerage at Hilton and Highland in Beverly Hills. So that was my job right after the Laugh Factory.
Is
so
that's a hotel, I'm assuming?
No, it's a real estate brokerage.
Oh, okay.
But it is by Rick Hilton, who's the Hilton guy.
Okay. The dad? That's the dad? The main dad?
I think the grandpa started it, and he's the son of the grandpa.
I don't know.
I think.
I feel like you should know.
I should know. I don't work closely with him.
Okay.
So I was the receptionist for 2 months as a temporary position. It was just supposed to be like 2 weeks. I was like, I just got to make some money and then figure out what I'm doing. But I liked it there. I liked the people. I liked the agents. I was like, oh, maybe I should get my real estate license while this is happening. And they kind of hired me as a full-time receptionist for 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
And then I got a assistant position working for a top agent there. And that's how I got into real estate. Never wanted to, but just because I was there.
Everybody's kind of like, is that a pretty normal path when getting into real estate?
I don't think so. I think a common path in LA at least is you fail at a bunch of other jobs and then you get into real estate, which is kind of my path, I guess.
Yeah. Well, how old were you when you got your real estate license?
25.
25. Okay.
Yeah.
And what you're sitting around as a 25-year-old and you had the thought of, I'm going to go get my real estate license. What made you?
Well, I was at the brokerage around all these successful agents, people that I thought were cool.
And you were like, this looks easy.
I was like, this looks sweet. All these people are making a ton of money. They all were pretty personable. It seemed like, they could be 40-year-old versions of me. Not virgins, 40-year-old versions of me.
Also virgins.
Also virgins.
Yeah. It's one of the requirements.
Exactly. And, while I was there, I was like, all right, well, I'll just get my real estate license. I actually failed the test once. And then,
is it hard?
It's not.
Oh, you're just bad at tests.
I'm not great at tests.
Okay.
Yeah. Communications major.
You just didn't study, probably. You were like, how hard could this be?
Well, everybody said it was so easy. So I didn't study that much. Second time I did.
Huh. Well, and you got to buy, do you have to buy like a bunch of books and take, you don't have to take a class or anything?
You take an online real estate trainer's course.
And that costs money?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, right? What would you say to somebody who, I hear this all the time, like because there's a ton of shows on Netflix and all those $1
million listing shows.
That shows like that, and then there's those two brothers that do the Sunset Strip one.
The Oppenheimers.
Is
the
that
Oppenheimers?
Yeah,
those two little bald twins.
Guys. Yeah. You watch a show like that, and you are like, fuck, this looks like fun. I think I could do real estate. I'm going to get my license. What would you say to someone right now who was like, I'm going to try real estate for the first time right now, 2019, Los Angeles?
Well, you have to have a little bit of money in the bank, I think, getting into real estate if you're not getting like an assistant position.
Okay.
Like it's good to learn from an experienced agent. So I at least was an assistant for a while. So I was on salary, and then I could help like build my Rolodex by being with another agent. And it's also good to be on a team with someone who's more experienced than you, because you're going to come across things that you've never experienced and don't know how to handle it. And it's really gives you a lot of anxiety. And, it's someone's biggest purchase of their life.
There may not be another one. That was literally what I was thinking about when I was working on questions. This is like, how hard is it to sell somebody like their one time potentially biggest purchase of their entire life?
Right.
Ideal. I mean, there are people. I have a buddy back home who used the words, "I bought my forever house." Like him and his wife saw a house, and they're like, "We could see ourselves dying here."
Right.
And they currently live there. And by the way, he meant dying like
down the road,
a long time, not like tomorrow,
not
like
blowing their heads off.
Right. Yeah, I could see this being like our cult house where we all drink,
exactly.
Make our family drink Kool-Aid and end it in a month.
Joining a team or something, getting some experience under your belt before you go solo, because it's all on you. And if you don't have connections, like a lot of those agents in Los Angeles, I can't speak on the Oppenheims or any of the others, but they're extremely hard workers.
I
but-
thought you guys would all be tight and you were all friends.
No.
I only invited you over because I thought you were friends with
Oh,
them. I was
sorry.
trying to get on that show. I just want to do. Are there a lot of people that go to open houses and you can tell they have no intention of buying the house whatsoever?
Yeah, I mean, there's looky-loos, as you would call them, where
and-
people are just, neighbors or people in that building that just want to see it and compare it to their place. Or
How
they
do
just
you tell?
You ask.
They usually
Well, you say,
like,
I always, if I'm sitting in an open house, I say, oh, how did you hear about us? And then they'll be like, oh, I saw the signs, or I've been looking, I live in the building, I'm a neighbor. So they give you reasons. And then you want to like kind of probe them to see if they're working with an agent. So even if they don't like that specific house, you could possibly represent them for buying something else. So it's kind of like a little dance you do at the beginning.
So if I like hired you or asked you to be my real estate agent,
Right.
and the property also has an agent. So there's a
listing agent,
and that's
then
the
a buyer's
person who
agent.
that guy's like or girl is responsible for that property.
Correct.
And then your job is to like assess my needs and like what I'm looking for and try to find me a place based on that.
Yeah, and then I'm representing you in the negotiation.
Okay.
So you could also write an offer with the listing agent, but that would be called double ending it. So they would get double the commission, but they're working with the seller and you.
Okay.
So a lot of brokerages.
Is that common?
Semi-common in Los
I feel like
Angeles.
that could be if I was just playing on an app or whatever or saw a sign and I walked in and we didn't have an agent, we could just go in and they'd what'd you call it?
Double end it. Yeah, sounds kind of sexual.
Yeah.
But a lot of agents will say like, hey, I have a great relationship with the seller. Obviously, he's my seller. Write an offer through me. And it's like, well, they're going to get 5% on it, of course.
Is there the percentage is standard across the board? There's no.
No, you negotiate, but
Okay.
6% is standard. So 3% to both sides.
Okay, that's not bad because houses out here are very expensive. So even if you sell like a $500,000 condo, it's still a pretty good paycheck.
Yeah, but then you have your brokerage split also.
So that's how much you have to give to your company.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And is that a lot?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how long you've been in the business. So for me, I'm a 70% split. So I give 30% back to the brokerage. But
Okay.
for someone like the Altman brothers for $1 Million Listing, they're probably 100% split because they just have great marketing for that company also. So they're not even giving anything back to their brokerage.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Or like the more you've been in the business, maybe it's 10%, 5%.
So are you either, when you said that there's either one or the other, are you more so one than the other? Are you the person who sits at the house and is like, do you have clients that you're trying
So
to find
at the beginning, I've been more of a buyer's agent because it's a lot of my friends who graduated from SC that are buying condos around this age.
also have rich parents? Yeah.
I knew you were going to go there. And then some of them are starting to sell their condos. So now I'm also a listing agent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those people must have had even more rich parents that bought them condos
Exactly.
when they were in
Like
college
4
now,
years
and
ago.
they're trying to get rid of their condos. They
I
have
know.
so many condos that they're trying to unload condos.
Right. But being a listing agent's better because you're in control of the property.
Okay.
So you're in control of the offer situation. If you're representing buyers, you're in the dark with everything, right? So if like we're putting an offer in on a house, the listing agent's going to say, yeah, there's been 3 other offers, and not
Those could
necessarily
all
give
be
you the price.
bullshit.
I mean, sometimes they bullshit, but you don't really lie if you actually have other offers. But you could say something bullshitty like there's a lot of interest or someone's planning on writing an offer. So a lot of people say that to put pressure on buyers.
Well,
agents.
I see that in some of your memes
Yeah,
on
thanks.
the broke agent, and I try to. I mean, it is for a very specific occupation, and I guarantee all the real estate agents are reading those memes and laughing their asses off. And
Mm-hmm.
there's like a barrier for me when I have to try to understand what it means, and I'm
Right.
like, oh, I get what he did there. But I look at houses online sometimes and I see, and they're like, will go fast. And then it says like days on the market, like
Right.
480,000.
5,000. Yeah.
And so you know that that's not the case, but
Yeah, real estate gives off a lot of humor just
Yeah,
naturally.
yeah.
Just because you're dealing with so many awkward encounters with the agents, with the buyers, you're dealing with the buyer's family, you're dealing with the seller's family, you're dealing with inspectors, appraisers.
you've had some jokes about that too, where people show up and they bring like a relative.
Mm-hmm.
It's like which is like the worst equivalent of like when you were going to buy your first car, maybe you probably took your dad with you to the car lot, so you don't get bullied into a bad leasing situation or whatever. Bringing your like overzealous uncle or
Right.
to a real estate negotiation. Insane, probably.
It is. Well, because they've bought a house, right? So they know everything.
So they know everything.
Yeah. And then every family member also has a realtor in that family. So you're also kind of dealing with that other realtor that's, whispering in the ear of your client.
Yeah.
Saying something like, oh, no, we should ask for $2,000 credit because my aunt said this, something along those lines.
Are a lot of the other agents like peers of yours? Like, are they around the same age, or is it a lot of much older?
So the average age of a realtor is 55.
Oh, really?
Yeah, majority women.
Well,
too.
the first time we met up and got drinks, we were kind of going through each other's like growth strategies, and you were like, "Look, I started this account because I found out that there's approximately like 2.5 million real estate agents in the United States, and if all of them followed me on Instagram, that's a lot. That's 2.5 million followers.
Yeah.
That's a lot of followers.
Yeah, I got a nice percentage of that now.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. What are you at right now? Like
171, 543.
Okay. So
Yeah,
just
right around there.
like 2.3 million short of having all of the agents follow you.
Yeah, exactly.
But it like you just said, most of them are 50-ish.
Right.
You got all the young ones for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm focused on building my TikTok now, so I don't care about Instagram.
Oh yeah. So the 16-year-old that's got to be
Hey,
that Venn diagram has
as Gary
almost no
Vee said-
overlap.
As Gary Vee says, all these apps ageify.
Yeah.
So get there before
Well,
anybody
as soon
else.
as like your parents got on Facebook was instantly like the lamest thing ever.
I know.
I can't tell you the last time I posted something on Facebook.
Never. I
Like-
I have a business, like the Broke Agent business page.
Oh yeah, I meant
So
like
just-
my personal one.
Oh, never.
Yeah, I post on Super Resumes Facebook.
In fact, I've had to delete probably 90% of my statuses that pop up on the memories. Do you have that, like on Facebook?
I never was a big Facebook status person.
Oh, really?
Because Facebook got that feature right around the same time Twitter did.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember having the thought of like, why do I need Twitter when I can just update my status on Facebook? But then
Right.
I was like, in the same breath, was like, oh yeah, I never do that on Facebook, and there's probably a reason why. I got like all my little like nieces and nephews and cousins, like your family follows you on Facebook, but Twitter is this new thing, and I only got like 30 of my closest friends on there right now. It just came out, so that's where I'm gonna go say.
That's how
this
TikTok feels right
really
now. It feels like
off-color,
this,
stupid shit.
Yeah.
And the stuff that would get me fired from SNL in 20 years.
Right.
I actually made a not about the getting fired from SNL, but I made a meme about getting fired today off of something that you tweeted like in 2009.
Yeah.
And I don't like that at all.
Yeah. With cancel culture in general.
Yeah. I actually heard a fact today or yesterday about how it's one of those like 90% of the wealth is owned by like the richest 1%. Like that same statistic, but with Twitter comments, something like 80% of the comments that happen on Twitter are only there by 2% of the users, or are done by 2% of the users, something like that. Have you heard a statistic like that?
No.
Well, it's true because I heard it,
Yeah.
and I don't remember where, but that in relation to cancel culture knows that it's actually not that big of a sampling of human beings that are
Right. Like not everybody's on Twitter like
exactly.
you think they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's usually where like Twitter more probably than any other platform is where that permeates, I think. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if there's a huge Instagram cancel culture. I haven't felt it. I mean, I don't play like that on Instagram. I'm not that
Edgy, cool.
I'm not
Risky.
In either, all of the
All
above.
three.
But I mean, I talk about hating my boss and my job and my stupid coworkers, and I think to some degree, no matter what job you've had or what career path you chose, you have that similarity.
Yeah.
And
Disgruntled employees.
sure,
It's a good market.
and you don't even have to be like suicidal about it. You're just like, oh, here's Karen, and always trying to show me videos of her kid singing or whatever, and everybody has that coworker, so it's like you find that relatability,
Right.
and the job doesn't matter. For yours it does, and that's.
Are you saying that yours is better?
You have more followers than me as of recently.
That's true.
We were talking about this earlier about like other pages that have tried to come along, and I have like dozens of other like fuck work accounts that I've seen come up since I started mine. I'm still the biggest that I know of. I haven't seen one bigger than mine, but there's all these other ones that are like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make fun of my job as well,
Right.
and see if I can get. I've seen one about waitress, like a waitress only one.
Well, remember we talked about like expanding the broke agent to the broke actor, the broke DJ,
Yeah.
and like having this network of disgruntled employees.
Yeah.
And there was someone named the Broke Actor at some point.
Actress.
Actress.
And then, yeah, it's my friend.
Right.
And then, yeah, and that was like 2 years ago, and then we never hung out ever again.
Yeah. But here we are. We're doing a podcast now.
Yeah.
We're producing content.
That was I thought that was really fun to do back. I did it a lot more when I first started out, but I was like getting on and finding out other accounts that lived in Los Angeles and be like, whoa, you got followers too? Do you want to get a beer and talk about what it's like to be like Instagram person? And we did, and you were in the it was probably like two years ago, and we haven't hung out since until today.
I felt a little slighted actually because you had hung out with so many meme accounts beforehand.
Much
you're like
more popular.
You're like, yeah,
too.
I got drinks with a side of rice pilaf last week.
Yeah,
and I was just like, what am I, the sixth person that you
you're
reached
the
out to?
sixth most famous meme account that I hung out with this week. But yeah, I don't know what even to say about that. It is a cool thing to have in common with some people, but also we're all still trying to figure it out as we go along. I think that's the
well, you're at least taking it off Instagram and becoming a comedian. That's a lot more gutsy than just ripping other people's memes.
Well, I was a writer first, and that's why I came to Los Angeles in the first place. Is I was writing comedy, and this felt like I was at a desk job, but that wasn't propelling that forward in any way. So this was my way to take that frustration out. And I actually didn't for like the first 75,000 followers, I never told anybody that it was me. I liked that anonymity of being able to say what I want without any ability to get fired from my job or have any of my coworkers find out. And then after a certain point, you're proud of what you did. Like that's a lot, like 100,000 followers, like whatever, like people that are laughing at your jokes. I want people to know it was me. I think that's when when I came out.
What, 75 or 100?
No, I think 100.
What'd you do? Do a face reveal on your Instagram story?
Yeah, no, I just posted a picture of me, and
we just get like a bunch of unfollows after that.
So many unfollows.
Yeah.
They were like, "We're here for the memes, idiot. I don't want to see your stupid face."
Right.
No, I did. It did okay. It did pretty good for a not. I think I was like really genuine with it. And I was like thankful for all my followers, and was like, I want to pull back the curtain a little bit and let you guys know about my life. Like, this is my name. This is what I look like. I live in LA with my wife, and we don't have a dog. People usually follow it with my wife and my dog. But
right.
Not allowed to have dogs in this apartment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would you have one if you were allowed to? You could just get a service dog.
Yeah, that's what everybody said. I dog set a baby dog. My buddy left they went on a honeymoon for like 11 days somewhere, and they left their dog with us, and it's the cutest dog ever. And after the 11 days, I did have that feeling of like, you have a dog, don't you?
I have a dog, yeah.
It's a big dog though, isn't it?
Huge.
This dog was like this big. I'll show you pictures afterwards, but it was the cutest dog ever. And I was like, I want this. And I told my wife that we're not allowed to have them, and I think one of our friends was like, "You can go down the whole service animal route if you want."
Right.
Which doesn't feel worth it. I don't know.
It's an easy route.
Yeah.
Just call.
Is that what you had to do?
Yeah. So most apartment buildings or condominiums have like a 20-pound limit, and my dog's 80 pounds. So you just you just get a service animal request. You just get like paper from your doctor and say like, "Hey, he's an emotional support animal."
I mean,
it takes 2 seconds.
It's not.
There's no route.
Oh yeah. Well, there's not like a lot of untruth to that, because you do miss you do have like feelings of emotion towards
Absolutely.
your dog, like 100%.
Yeah.
When they took that dog back at the end of when they got back from their trip, I was like sad for a day. I was like, this was mine for 11 days, and I need like some kind of an emotional, just a sign to put on my door to let my neighbors know that there's a lot of emotion going on in here. Don't disturb me right now.
Right.
Do you run into that a lot with real estate, like people that need dogs and can't have them in their place or whatever? If you own the place, if you're no one can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, if you have like an HOA or something like that, then they'll have a regulation or a rule in the HOA that'll say 20 pounds or something like that. I haven't ran into it, but I have a partner, actually, a real estate partner who's
more successful,
more experienced, who I've kind of latched onto, and he's actually dealing with that right now, where he has a buyer that is trying to buy a condo in a very strict HOA place, and he was just like, "What do I do?" And I said, "Get a service animal."
Yeah,
guaranteed.
That's no questions.
It's a hack.
It can't be like, well, why? What do you need it?
It's like a marijuana card.
That's
10
what,
years ago.
Well,
except
yeah,
for
I was gonna
dogs.
say when you said you can go get one of those, and you walk into some kooky doctor, and,
Right.
and you're like, hey, I
can't
have
name my dog.
I have anxiety.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool. Do you have $40? Now here's your prescription for marijuana.
Exactly.
The Wild West.
That's right.
Would you consider yourself to be a good real estate agent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But based on what
I care.
What KPI are you?
I care during the deal.
Okay.
I make everything. Every deal that I've been a part of has been a successful deal. I work primarily with my friends, and they've all been very happy with the result of it. So, I would consider myself a good real estate agent.
And
I don't think I try as hard as other real estate agents as far as lead generation, whether it's cold calling, door knocking, just because all that feels very unnatural. I don't like putting myself out there unless it's for the broke agent stuff. So I'm not good at lead generating, which is what you need to be good at for a real estate agent, but I'm good at the actual communication process, which is 90% of the actual deal is dealing with the listing agent, dealing with the family member, dealing with the escrow rep. So I'm on top of that, which is pretty good.
And so
You also told me you're about to buy a house, so that's the only reason I'm saying all this.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I asked. I just want to know if you were good enough.
What am I going to say now? Now I'm a shitty real estate agent.
I mean, you're always looking, and rent and real estate in Los Angeles are very high, and but we're paying a lot of money for rent, and if you can find a house that the mortgage is similar, maybe a few $100 more than what you're already paying, and to rent a place, why wouldn't you just try to own something as well?
Exactly.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you own right now?
No.
Is that a problem?
It's pretty hypocritical, isn't it?
Well, not. I don't know.
Telling everybody to rent or telling everybody to buy,
because we're
renting
also
my 6th apartment.
Going through. You're saying that they're going through the most like important purchase of their entire life, and at any point they ever flip it back on you and be like, well, where do you live? Where's your house?
I live in Brentwood. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I rent. And I don't know if I want to live in Los Angeles permanently, so I don't want to buy a house. And I couldn't buy a house unless it was in.
Is this you answering my question, or is this you answering like a hypothetical? If you got,
I don't know. Didn't you just ask me that?
I mean, I guess I asked if anyone ever like, because it's such a big purchase. Okay, like imagine if you sold Lamborghinis. Right. You like worked on the Lamborghini lot. You got to imagine all of the employees at that place do not drive Lamborghinis. They can't afford to off a car salesman salary.
Right.
So like a house is more than a Lamborghini out here anyways. And I don't think every agent can be expected to also have like a house in the hills just because you're selling houses. Right. You can have that skill and not have the...
you could know the market and have the negotiation skills and still live in a shitty apartment in Brentwood.
Yeah. With an 80-pound dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Service
emotional support animal. Therapy dog. My girlfriend's dog.
All right.
My dog.
So did you have to interview for this job, the real estate job?
No. So, well, yes.
Okay.
My assistant job, yes. The receptionist job, no.
I was gonna see how good you were at interviewing. We have all the interview questions here.
Oh God, do we have to go there? I think we're kind of flowing now.
I think we're flowing too. I did say. Well, it doesn't sound like you've had. It doesn't sound like you're a good interviewer. No, it doesn't sound like you really had.
I've been interviewed.
Have you ever interviewed for a job and you didn't get it?
Oh yeah. In between the Laugh Factory job and the real estate job, I probably interviewed at like 6 or 7 companies.
Were you able to walk away from that and feel like the one thing that you messed up in the interview that you didn't get picked,
No, I thought I did well at every single interview.
I think that's the case too. I think a lot of people. I've never walked out of an interview for a job that I did or didn't get and been like, oh, I really fucked that up. I know they're not going to hire me because I screwed up that one answer. Right. You leave interviews if it's a good conversation and you're talking a lot. You leave and you're like, that went really well. Yeah, I should definitely get hired there. And then you don't. And you're like, I don't know. I thought that
one interview, The Honest Company. Have you heard of that company?
I do know The Honest Company.
I interviewed for some like customer service representation job there, like when they first started off, and it was, like a phone job basically. And the guy was actively convincing me that I was not right for the position. So just like halfway through the interview, I was like, all right, clearly I'm not right for this.
You sold me.
Exactly.
Not going to do it.
Clearly he wanted me to push back, but at some point I was like, look, honestly, you're telling me a bunch of reasons why I shouldn't get this job. Then I'll just get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I left.
And that was in
person. Okay. So there was a phone interview before that and then this.
And they let you think that you were good for the job in the phone interview and they still wasted your time.
They were so nice in the phone interview. walking into the Honest Company, it was like all the hottest girls. The receptionist was like the nicest person. The person that interviewed me,
Jessica
before
Alba
this guy,
was in the interview.
She was in the interview,
with
exactly.
you.
And I felt really good about it. And then, halfway through the interview, I was just like, done.
Didn't she sell off her parts of that company, or is she still?
I'm not familiar with.
You know that she founded that company.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I interviewed there. I should at least know that it was Jessica Alba's.
Well,
actually, maybe that's why I didn't get the
earlier
job.
you didn't know if Rick Hilton was who that
The
guy.
founder of the Hilton
Founder
Hotels.
of Hilton Hotels. So, well, I don't know. Sometimes we could ask about how shitty interview questions went. And that was the point of these, but it's not. There, very infrequently do you get the, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or name what's your greatest weakness, things like that I find really annoying. So I printed those up so we could make fun of them if it came down to that. But I can't remember the last time I got one of those in an interview. You follow a lot of those. I creep who you follow and stuff like that. And we talk. There's like the, the Jordan Belforts and the Gary Vaynerchuk's, Tony Robbins, people like that. Those really,
the reason I follow them is so I could comment.
Right.
And then get followers from
that.
that.
What's the other guy? Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
But
the Texan.
Is he? He's got an accent.
Yeah.
What's your? You ever been asked to sell me this pen? You got that? You ever get that one?
I've never gotten that.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would say to that either.
I Googled it because I was like, if I ever get that, first of all, I'm going to roll my eyes so hard.
Yeah.
Because this person clearly is an insane person.
Right. Aren't you supposed to say, like, here's a piece of paper?
No.
That was in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. He said something like, my sister thinks you're hot. Give me a piece of paper and I'll write her number down for you, or something like that.
Right. To the Quaalude King.
Yeah. It's not about the pen itself. I think a lot of people look at the pen and they're like, this pen writes better than any other pen.
Right.
I think you're supposed to set the pen down and not even like worry about the pen and just ask questions of the person. Like, well, find out how often do you even use pen? Do you write a lot? Do you when you do write, what do you write with? Is it normally a pencil? Is it normally a pen? Oh, it is a pen. What kind of pen do you usually? You want to find out the person that you're selling to. You don't go up to a person that you see on the street and just start selling them a house.
Right.
That person has to like express interest in a house first.
Well, you do. You actually go around and you door knock places. You're supposed to.
Ask if they're, well, no, I meant to say buying a house.
Right.
Like, hey, are you about to buy a house today? No, dude, I can barely afford this Starbucks.
Right.
So you wouldn't start just actively selling that person a house in the hills without finding out if they're even capable of buying one. And I think that's the premise of Sell Me This Pen. Is like, if you were going to be a good salesman, you got to learn to listen and you got to learn to ask questions. And then once you have that information, then you can sneak in the features and you can really play to their wants and desires.
Right.
Now that you know.
I think the goal of interviews, at least for me, and probably was for you too, is just to like make them laugh at some point during the interview. And to show a little like vulnerability.
Sure.
And to show authenticity.
No, I mean,
right?
if I in that
maybe not for the Honest Company.
Maybe
that
not.
That wasn't the right move, but for the Laugh Factory, I guess that was the move.
Well, my wife and I are expecting a child right now, and we've looked into their diapers. Like there's like a comparison online, and you probably make some joke about baby poop and make them laugh and get the job.
Right.
I don't know. I heard it is a great company to work for. So what's next for you in terms of you're gonna be? Do you think you'll be a real estate agent for a while?
No.
What's next?
I've been saying that for 3 years though.
Yeah, you said you were done with it last time we hung out.
Yeah, I know, 2 years ago.
And specifically because you said you sucked at it.
Did I say that?
I don't know.
I definitely didn't say that. Maybe. I mean, I'm doing the broke agent stuff.
Okay.
So that will hopefully lead to something, but that has been monetized.
In a perfect world, what is that something?
This is an interview question.
Sure.
I don't know what it is, to be honest. I don't know what that something is. It keeps evolving. So I got the book.
Yeah. I put it
Commission Impossible Rogue Agent. I figured
Eric brought me this book as a gift today, and I was
right.
like, well, let's display it so
I
everybody
figured
can see.
I have a following of real estate professionals.
I'll put a link to it in the bio.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I make $2 off of each book that I sell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's great.
And then what did they cost you to make?
$28 basically. I sell it for like 33 ships. It's the worst thing ever.
Really?
So it's just like, what can I sell?
Well, what kind of stuff is in there?
It's a comic book.
Okay.
Yeah. It's about like the character, the BA, the broke agent, Ben Ackerman, who's basically an animated version of myself.
It's you, right? It looks like you.
Yeah. And
Shorter.
A little shorter. Still Jewish, though.
Yeah, you
Ackerman.
can tell. Yeah.
Yep. And then he has a little friend named Herbert, who's kind of like the moral compass.
Okay.
So Ben Ackerman he gets his real estate license and then goes to his first deal, goes to happy hours. It's about his communication with everybody in the office. It's just like the journey of your first few residential years in Los Angeles. It's like the inner monologue of a struggling realtor. And I made the book because I wanted to, but also because I thought, what can I sell my audience? Right?
Well, that is
merchandise or
such a
real estate comedy book. It's perfect for them, right?
Social media thing too. Is that like you amass this big following and you're like, all right, now I got these people watching. What can I sell them?
I know. I have an ebook coming out too. How cringe is that?
Not very cringe.
Really?
Yeah.
It's about how to grow your Instagram.
It's very green of you.
For real estate agents specifically.
Okay.
So I talk about all the strategies and shit that I used.
No, that makes sense. You sent me like a link the other day of someone who had is a real estate group in Middle America that was called the Jarboe group, and that's my last name, and I was like, I didn't even know anyone else had that last name,
right?
But they had like 170 followers, so they're the tactics not being comedy, because yours is very much comedy,
right?
To be like, how do you just as a brand, think of your real estate company as a brand and how to grow it. That's a great idea, great thing to put out.
Thank you.
How long that took you to put together?
3 months. It's 53 pages.
Okay.
There's like memes and shit throughout it too, so it's written sarcastically.
That's very Gary Vee of you.
I'm very Gary Vee. Very on brand, very authentic.
Did you take that page out of his book?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
You came up with this all on your own?
Well, I'm not the originator of an Instagram growth ebook.
I bought one. I downloaded one when I first started. I started my page like four years ago. And there was a ebook that I got called "How to Get Your First 10,000 Followers."
Right, that's exactly what mine's called.
Is it really?
For real estate agents.
Really?
Yeah.
How to get your first 10,000?
Yeah.
Well, I'd be interested to read it just in general, because the strategies that were in the book that I got 4 years ago don't exist anymore.
Stuff has changed since I've written this book.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Instagram has changed a lot. The algorithm was a different thing back then.
Yeah.
Like shout outs. You were able to get so many more followers if like another bigger account than yours like mentioned your name, and that doesn't exist anymore.
Not at all.
People go over to your page.
We were in that engagement group, remember?
That used to be, that was a piece of advice on there. It was like, hey, go find maybe like 10 or 12 other accounts like yours, get in a group together, and you guys like take turns sharing each other's stuff. That used to be a huge strategy when I first started. Now no one cares about that at all.
Now commenting is the most effective in my opinion.
That's not even, that's my favorite thing about Instagram, and I don't even do it as a growth strategy, but like I can only talk about work on my page, but I'm all encompassing comedy. I think everything is funny, and so my goal, feel free to steal this, is not even, it's just what I do. Anytime I see a meme, I want to comment what I would have wrote if that was my page. So I try to essentially make a funnier
I've seen you do
comment
that.
of
is
that.
Funny.
And then I'll go back and check sometimes, and those comments that I write have like thousands of likes since you could start liking comments. That's like a newer thing that wasn't out in the beginning. And I'll see myself getting some followers from that. But that's not my goal. My goal is just like, I know the guy who runs that account and I want to make him laugh. Right. Like that's my job.
Yeah. And I do it for the followers and to reciprocate. Like I know people will comment more on my stuff.
I do everything for followers. I'm only friends with you for followers.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Anytime I can tell if I'm like in a meeting or something and I come out and I got a bunch of new followers and I can tell they're all real estate agents. I know it's because you said something about me or reposted one of my things or something.
We get like Danny Sells LA.
Yeah. Well, you can just tell they all have such very specific profiles.
And they all have realtor or real estate agent in their name.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a cousin who's a real estate agent, and her Instagram is like her name realtor, like in the title.
Does she follow me?
Yeah. That's how I found yeah. Short answer is yes, but I found that I was looking through your stuff about a while back, and she was like, "Oh my god, this page is so funny." And I was like, home for Christmas, and I was like, "Yeah, I know him."
Yeah, we're boys. We got drinks 2 years ago.
We got drinks 2 years ago once, and that's it. And then I was like, I'm probably gonna start a podcast 2 years from now, and then I'll have him on there. But
I'm episode number 2. That's
your episode number 2.
I appreciate that. I'm honored.
Yeah, there will be a little number 2 next year. It's not because you're my second favorite person.
Yeah, with side of rice pilaf number 1.
No.
That's a meme account, by the way, that he got drinks with.
It is. No, that's my friend.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew him pre meme.
Got it.
Pre meme. Shout out side of rice pilaf.
Yeah.
That's so real estate. We'll just wrap this up real quick. We've hit our really
Damn, an hour already.
Yeah, an hour already. It goes by really fast.
Yeah.
And especially, it always feels like you're really starting to get into it at the end.
Yeah.
But I guess we were talking about what you would do with this account if you weren't also simultaneously being a real estate agent. But there's, you could have you got the comic, the book, but that could maybe be a show.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So I actually wrote a pilot like every single person on earth, but it's about a disgruntled real estate. It's about me basically, and I wrote a pilot for it. I don't know what to do with it.
Do
you do anything with them? I mean, it's just sitting in my Google Docs.
Mine, I have several pilots. I have several feature-length scripts that I've written since I've lived in Los Angeles that I have registered and all that. And you try to get as many people as you can read them, and it's a taxing ask.
Let me run one by you that's not real estate related.
Sure.
It's called the Santa Monica Six.
Okay.
It's based off of 6 guys similar our age, maybe post-grad, more close to post-grad, 25, 26.
Yeah, that's how old I am.
Huh?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Santa Monica 6?
No, that's how old I am.
Oh, right. Okay.
25-ish or
right,
so.
Exactly. 25-ish. And 6 disgruntled Santa Monica residents. And they hate their jobs. And they all see a commercial for like the Mega Millions or lottery or something like that.
Okay.
They all put in $100. One of the friends is like, fuck it, I'm not doing that. I don't want to waste $100. 6 of them win it. They win the lottery. I feel like there's not like a lottery show like that where it's kind of like you're going to tell me there is one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and it's exactly what you just described to. Yeah, it was called Lucky 7. It was on ABC.
I mean, this isn't like a genius concept, but
I thought it was.
So mine's genius.
Because the show, it was like these gas station employees. It was like a gas station / like auto body shop. So there was another layer of like kinds of employees. And usually when you go into 7-Eleven, there's like the one person working there. So that didn't have, we need a bunch of characters. We need 7 of them.
Right.
It's called the Lucky 7 or something, I think, on ABC. And every single week they all put in for lottery tickets, and it finally hit. And so there was like a lot of flash forwards and flashbacks of like their lives before the lottery. Like it's kind of like watching Lost. The second season, you were like, this is them before they were on the island. This is them now. Now we got a season where they're off the island, so we know they're going to get off, and we don't know if we're watching the before and the after. And there was one guy who, instead of like kicking in, he saved up all the money and like put it on a jar in his refrigerator, and it only like amassed like $300 or $400. And when he got home from work that day, everybody was like, all his friends and family were in his apartment. They were celebrating. He's like, I didn't buy a ticket. I haven't been buying a ticket. I've been investing that money.
Brutal.
But it could have been like $20 million instead. It was only 7.
Yeah, but this hasn't been made yet, has it?
Yeah, it was made.
Oh, it was made.
It was made, and it was canceled after like 4 or 5 episodes.
There you go. So.
Well, I mean, you got to make it better. You
Mine's called the Santa Monica 6, not the gas station 7.
Not the gas station.
This is about people like us that are
I feel like you're pitching me 7-minute abs right now.
Yeah, basically.
And then I'm like, I get the 8-minute abs. It's 6 minutes.
If you don't like that one, how about one called the train station?
Okay, I'm waiting for the word disgruntled to show up, because so far all of your pitches have been about disgruntled.
I've only used disgruntled twice.
Yeah, in 2 pitches. So you're 2 for 2.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I said disgruntled about the book.
It's about a disgruntled real estate agent.
So this is about a disgruntled fantasy football owner.
Okay.
No, it's about
just a regular fantasy football.
I don't know if this is how it starts, but basically a guy loses a fantasy football bet. And the bet is, like, they run a very serious league, and the punishments are always terrible.
Okay.
The guy loses the bet, and he has to marry an inanimate object. The object that is chosen for him is a train station. And he has to go through the actual process of, like, the government has, certain regulations to actually marry it, where you have to spend like a certain amount of time with it. The actual train station.
Is this a real thing?
Well, I'm talking about it right now. It's not it's not on paper. It's nowhere.
Oh, it's going to be on YouTube and on.
Right. So basically he has to go through the steps of becoming a train station. It's a very like dark comedy of marrying a train station. Of course, he eventually starts to slowly fall in love with the train station. So he spends more and more time there. He has to sleep in the train station at night. He starts to have to like convince his friends that he's actually falling in love with the train station.
Okay.
All right, let's just skip that.
I love that one.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, There is a very stoned audience who might like. You were definitely really high when you thought of that.
I was actually
not even on weed, like something else that I've never even heard of. You found that and you took it, and then you thought of that pitch.
Well, there's multiple people that came up with it.
But back to it's very hard to get somebody to read your stuff in Los Angeles. That's a thing that if anyone's
talk
watching
to me in 2 years when the train station's #1.
Dude, I can't wait to say that you announced that shit on this podcast. And
I didn't describe it as well as I did 2 nights ago when I was describing it.
When you were high?
Yeah.
Probably. It probably sounded, it was super.
And the audience loved it and everything
and
I
the
was
audience
saying
was your
perfect.
was your 80-pound dog, and that's
Miles.
it. I think about that lottery situation a lot too. And I was thinking about the other day because the lottery is like up to like $200 million right now. And you know when people do those office pools, have you ever done one of those with your group? How many of you are there in
6.
your departments? There's 6
Santa Monica.
It
was on my friend group. It's based off of a true story.
Okay.
We just never won.
So do you do this? This is such like I feel like this is such a relatable thing, but maybe it's not, and we're gonna find out right now.
Okay.
Everybody kicks in $20 for the drawing. Let's say. Do you then also go out and buy your own tickets that you don't? Everybody does that.
And then you also...
Everybody does that, and they're like, hey, look, if you guys win, for sure, split that with me.
Right.
But if I win this one over here,
right,
I'm not splitting it with any of you. You keep working here.
And then you convince yourself, you almost play a little movie in your head too, like when you go to the gas station to get it, that you think like this is the gas station. And like maybe you go back and like, I'm going to go get another ticket so I could tell the story that I just had something in my head that told me to go back to that. That at least happened to me. I went back to the one on Wilshire and 20th. I won still.
I went back. Do you remember when the lotto got up to like $1 billion for the first time ever? And it was like 3 or 4 years ago. But before, it's like if you don't win the lottery, it spills over to the money spills over to the next week, and you just keep going. And even when it got up to like $600,000, that was still like everyone was like, "Oh my god, I've never seen it this high before." Nobody won, but everybody bought a ticket. So the next week it's $800,000.
You mean million?
Sorry, 800 million.
Yeah.
And then the next week it was for the first time in lottery history, it got up to $1 billion. But we were buying group office tickets for all of those along the way, and I kept also going out and No, I wasn't pocketing it. I would put some. I wasn't even the person in the office that went and bought the quick picks. They're like, everybody kick in 10. I'm gonna walk over to 7-Eleven on my lunch break and buy. I think there was 10 of us, so we got 100 quick picks, and then I would also go hit a gas station on my way home and buy my own ticket in case those didn't win. Just like one ticket that was only mine and no one else's, because it's a cooler version of it. I get the whole $1 billion.
Right.
I have to split it with you guys, as if $100 million each wasn't enough to.
I know to satisfy.
It is funny to think about, like everybody getting to quit your job at once, like you're talking about the Laugh Factory, but like everybody just leaving your boss so fucked.
Well, that's
and poorer. Like you get to leave, and now you're also all richer than him.
Right.
This is hilarious.
I mean, that's the compilation like dream video image I have of the Santa Monica 6 is the 6 disgruntled employees quitting their jobs once they win the lottery. Like that scene would be epic. Yeah.
And then you have a whole 2 or 3 seasons of just what do you guys do with the money?
Right.
Each. You have your separate stories. Yep. Does it make your life better? Maybe this guy gets addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody.
You have the disgruntled friend that didn't put in the money.
What does he do?
I don't know.
Does he kill himself immediately?
That would be a funny scene. I think it's like an Entourage-esque feeling to it, where you just when you watch Entourage, you always you felt good about yourself.
During
you
that
felt
time,
like, hey, that's exactly what I would do.
I'm a huge Entourage fan. Yeah. Don't even care. A lot of people are like, guilty pleasure show. I don't care. I love it.
It's epic. I was
watching it before I moved here, and so it put LA up on this like huge pedestal for me. So when I got out here, everything that I saw was like, oh, that's Entourage.
That's like how Curb Your Enthusiasm is for me. Yeah. You just see all the spots.
Larry David's my ultimate. Like if I could have dinner with one celebrity, it'd be Larry David.
I saw him. Did I tell you that?
Maybe.
I saw him outside of a liquor store on Wilshire, and I pulled up, and I like slammed into a parking lot, and he's like my hero too. He's my number one, and
you can't have the same number one as me.
I mean, he's been my number one.
Get your own number one. I'm older than you, so he's been my number one.
Yours. He's Jewish though, and I'm Jewish too, so we have that connection.
I think that's why he won't like you. He's like, there can only be one. If you ever go to a party,
he actually doesn't like me. So
you shouldn't. I mean, if you show up to a party and there's another 7-foot tall Jew there, you're like, I hate this guy. There can only be one of us.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't like me because the only thing I said to him was LD, and he turns around and I was just like, oh shit. And I said, you're the man. That was it. And he goes, thank you. And just kept walking. So that's all I did. And I literally pulled into the parking lot, got out of my car to say that to him. I feel like an idiot.
A coffee shop to this day and not think about ordering vanilla bullshit.
Right.
It's my favorite
so funny
thing. Oh, that's the vanilla bullshit or whatever. You know, the Kappa Frappa. Vanilla. I'll take just the vanilla.
There's shirts that say that too.
Vanilla. I'll have the vanilla bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And coffee mugs that say that. You should sell those instead of your fuck yourself mugs.
I think I sold that to everyone who would buy one.
Sure.
I even took the link out of my bio because I was like, everyone who's bought one's going to buy one. I used to have this mug that when you would hold it this way, you couldn't really tell what the word said because they were stretched out. And then you turned it up and it said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, genius.
A genius. I thought of that, you guys. Tell the people at home where they can find you and what you got going on in the future.
TikTok, that's all that matters. At the Broke Agent.
Is it the same? Are all your handles the same?
Yeah, at the Broke Agent.
I'll
Twitter.
put them all in the bio.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm all over the place.
All over the place.
I'm a media company.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man.
Exactly.
Eric, thanks so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you.
Great
Appreciate
to see
it.
you again.
We'll get drinks again. 2 years.